This is a welcome debate as it involves a subject at which we are all united, the need to combat abuse and protect the most vulnerable in our society. The measures within the directive seem worthy and positive according to the briefing note we have received, and I wish to comment on some of the proposals in order. Firstly, the move away from using the term child pornography to child sexual abuse material, as well as an amendment in that definition to cover the generation of genetically created materials, is incredibly important. The former term is associated with a degree of glamour or even titillation, which is absolutely inappropriate, and it should be noted the coverage of these issues by media and their treatment by other stakeholders has improved, but we must always be vigilant in this regard. Every piece of material depicts a crime and constitutes an abuse in and of itself, which those generated by AI, anything that can be done to always remind people of that is welcome. The increasing of the level of penalties for engaging in sexual activities with a child in respect of child prostitution is critical, as a deterrent must be there. There must be a significant level of cooperation across member states and with third-party countries, given many criminals travel themselves or traffic children for these vile ends. A degree of extraterritoriality, namely the prosecution of people who travel and commit crimes, needs to be considered as part of all laws within these areas. Similarly, the harmonisation of the offences of solicitation or grooming and online live streaming across all member states captures the transnational nature of abuse. So whether acting alone or in concert with others, criminals will exploit whatever measures they can, and the tech platforms in particular must be faced with uniform and universal demands across member states. That all member states criminalise and provide for an effective investigation and prosecution of the offence of live streaming child sexual abuse is essential. It is close to impossible to commit many of these heinous crimes without an online infrastructure, whether it be encrypted apps or other means. And the dark web, also a haven for drug dealing and terrorism, clearly plays a huge role. And again, international cooperation is crucial. I wish to raise one such case from 2021, where the case saw 4 people arrested in a multi-agency operation sparked by a German investigation into one of Europe's most prolific child sexual abuse platforms on the dark web. All 4 were German nationals and were responsible for running the platform. The operation was as a result of an international task force set up by the German Federal Criminal Police, which included Europol and law enforcement agencies from the Netherlands, Sweden, Australia, Canada and the US. The site focused on the sexual abuse of children and had 400,000 registered users when it was taken down. And to quote Europol themselves, the case illustrates what Europol is seeing on child sexual abuse offending. Online child offender communities on the dark web exhibit considerable resilience in response to law enforcement actions targeting them. Their reactions include resurrecting old communities, establishing new communities and making strong efforts to organise and administer them. This is a clear and clarion call to us as legislators. We must support this international cooperation between agencies in tackling these matters. The victims' provisions within the directive are positive, and compensation, support and expertise must be given where people have been traumatised. These crimes absolutely leave lifelong scars, and individuals should be supported fully in attempting to rebuild their lives. Parental figures can, of course, be involved in the abuse itself, meaning state supports are more critical than ever. And I sometimes meet people who have suffered abuse as children and have gone through a life of self-loathing and self-blame, and they need very, very strong support in order to overcome that and to build their lives. And often I find people block out this terrible, what has happened to them, this terrible crime, and for it to resurrect itself can have very, very damaging effects. So they need definite support. And I think we also need a lot more social workers to deal with families and to give support to individuals who have been abused. Finally, a requirement that Member States ensure that persons, units or services investigating and prosecuting the relevant offence have sufficient staff, expertise and effective investigative tools, including the possibility to conduct undercover investigations on the dark web. Is important. And I would ask in this specific context, Minister, are you confident Gardaí and other agencies here have these tools? I understand in the context of the ongoing debate on facial recognition technology that the search of child abuse material by automated rather than by manual means is part of why the Gardaí are requesting legislation in this matter, and my colleagues Pa Daly and Rhea Cronin did receive a briefing in relation to this technology. So what can you share with the House in this regard? In summary, we support this directive and we would ask that further updates on its implementation be scheduled at a later date.